9:01 p.m. We'll have a roll call vote of attendance, please.
Howard Haggard,
Here.
Diane Jordan,
Here.
Todd McDaniel,
Here.
Chad Sargent,
Here.
Brenda Walters.
Here.
Okay, we have a forum.
Okay. Recognition of guests, another room full of people. Keep trying to have enough chairs for everybody. Thank you for being here. Public comments, did anybody sign up for public comment? Nobody? Okay, if you don't like public comment, you're welcome to come see me privately, or any board member, we're always available.
She says it's specific to the agenda, so no.
Yeah.
I didn't sign up, it's specific to the agenda, and I'm not on the agenda. There's nothing on the agenda.
Well, then come talk to me afterwards and we can get you on the agenda next
Yeah,
time,
okay.
if you have a specific
Great.
topic.
Yeah.
We can put on
Thanks.
an agenda item. Okay. Consent docket. The following items are considered routine by the Board of Trustees and will be enacted with one motion. Discussion desired on any item, that item will, if a discussion is desired on any item, that item will be removed from the consent docket and considered separately. We have the approval of the July 10th special meetings, approval of the July 23rd special meeting minutes, and approval of payment of claims. Do we have items for discussion? Give everybody a few minutes.
Tom, was there no charge for the wastewater, for the water sample, just the shipping? That's what it
Yes,
was?
sir.
Okay.
When will we get that back?
We have it back, and Cole actually provided us with a little synopsis of the situation. If you want
Let's wait,
to, okay,
let's wait.
okay,
Not on
yeah,
our
it's been
agenda
taken
right
care
now.
of. Yeah, we got the results back, and
Okay.
we're in discussions right now.
Let's do that later. Okay, hearing no discussion, do we have a motion to accept the consent docket?
I'll make the motion, we accept the consent docket.
Okay, Todd made a motion, we have a second,
I'll second.
second by Chad, roll call vote please.
Howard Haggard,
Yes.
Diane Jordan,
Yes.
Todd McDaniel,
Yes.
Chad Sargent,
Yes.
Brenda Walters.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Discussion, consideration, possible action regarding items removed from the consent docket. Okay, item 7, treasurer's report. Mr. Charles.
Diane. So the profit loss, covered it. The total avenue deposits were $235,528.86. The Hochatown direct deposits are $63,358.34 for a total of $298,887.20. We had cigarette tax at $15.50 Sales tax was $300,017.54. And then the use tax was $5,163.49 for a total of the $605,619.16 of total general funds. Our expenses from last month totaled $12,000 in office expenses. There's $12,691.20. Professional fees, the $19,589. Rent, $31.50. Telephone, $572, and utilities, $75.14. So we had a net income of $567,473.88. And then if you look at the balance sheet, as of August 7th, we had $5,030,110.23. So That is retained earnings, previous balance from the bank last month, plus our net income this month. So $5,030,110.23 would be our balance.
That's great, Charles. Thank you. I'm gonna ask everybody to, make a note on the, profit and loss on the, use tax. We collected the $5,100 there. When we get to our agenda item on the post office, I think that will be illuminating for us. Because we only got 5,000 in use tax. I did talk to the county treasurer, and we are just now starting to get a little bit of motor vehicle, tax. So he'll start making a deposit for a motor vehicle. So Howard, you and Charles should start to see that coming in pretty quick. Okay, anything else from the treasurer's report? Thank you for doing that for us. Okay, do we have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
I make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
May we have a roll call vote, please?
Howard Haggard,
Yes.
Diane Jordan,
Yes.
Todd McDaniel,
Yes.
Chad Sargent,
Yes.
Brenda Walters.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries.
Okay, item 8, discussion only of the monthly report by the Hochatown Town Administrator. I was thinking about this a little bit. Adam doesn't always have a lot of time to put these together. We may have a discussion later. Do we want to go like from the 15th of the month or the 15th to give him a chance to put all this together so that we can see in advance and he's not trying to scramble it together? Sometimes that first Wednesday of the month occurs on Wednesday the 1st, and sometimes it's on the 7th, and we have a little more time. But let's just think about that. We can talk about it. That makes it easier for all of us.
Okay,
This
so
is
I'm gonna
June, right?
I'm gonna go ahead and start off, and if anyone has any questions, please feel free to stop me and ask, and we'll just kind of unfold that. So for roads maintenance, this is the topic on everybody's mind here. We've had several meetings with contractors to schedule repairs to existing drainage structures and tin horns, as well as laying new materials along the roadways. We had to obtain some engineers' recommendations on piping diameters to make sure that we have the proper drainage flow and it can handle the water volume sufficiently. We've had several meetings with our roads committee to establish a prioritized list composed of currently privately owned roads that are classified as collectors, and these also serve as evacuation routes. So I've submitted that prioritization list to our roads committee, and they'll kind of go through it. They'll provide me back with their input before we send it out to the abstract firm to work to begin to obtain easements on those private roads.
Hey, real quick, will you just kind of explain, just 30 seconds, what the collector road means to people?
So a collector road is essentially something that funnels and handles all traffic to the majority of subdivisions throughout our community. So
Well,
this would be
in
your
terms-
highest traffic volumes, also are evacuation routes for our community. So you can get one from one end of town to the other without using Highway 259.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So we also met with engineers, took a look at several roadways along the north side of town. We're currently drafting various scopes of work and cost estimates that are going to be associated with that. Just a heads up, we'll likely need to bid out our Lucian Sorrel maintenance operations, because that's probably going to be over $50,000 in an expense. So state law does require us to build a scope of work out and then have that fairly bidded out. So we're drafting that currently. I managed to obtain roughly 10 loads of asphalt millings from ODOT's Highway 3 project by the North Pole, and those are currently being stashed away right now, and we're working on a way to fairly distribute these materials in our community to desperately needed areas and evacuation routes and these rural collectors that we just spoke about. I've identified a possible grant opportunity for milling out and paving Old Hochatown Road. Currently working on that grant application as we speak. I'm working on another grant application for the paving of Camp Ranch Road, and the cost estimate came back at that for about $3.7 million. And that's a little high. I just put a little note in there that it's high because that's what the engineer required design standard is, because they have to design to ODOT standard because it's an ODOT grant. let's see here. We had several individualized meetings with board members for Benchmark Engineering Services. These are going to be our project managers for the Highway 259 construction project. Zoning regulations, another pretty big topic here in our community. Our TSW is currently drafting zoning ordinances that's underway. They have some high-level recommendations to provide clarity, user-friendliness, efficient administration of our zoning code, and pretty persistent decision-making and best practices recommendations. We should have a draft by the end of this week, and we're also looking at scheduling a P&Z kickoff meeting August 19th. Our authority having jurisdiction letter.
Hey,
this-
hang on.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that they have already the work that was previously done by the
Yes.
Planning and Zoning Committee, and they're
Yes.
using that within this report.
Yeah, so I provided them with all that documentation, and they've reviewed it, and so they're gonna have an official opinion on that by the end of this month, or the end of this week. Sorry. Yeah, so our AHJ letter, which is our authority having jurisdiction letter to allow Hochatown to perform fire plan review and fire code inspections. We're still waiting on Chief Zeb of the Hochatown Volunteer Fire Department to sign. Their attorney has a couple of concerns with how our AHJ works with the state. If we're gonna, basically his concern is if our contract with Okie Safety were to lapse, that responsibility is gonna fall on the fire chief, and obviously the HBFD doesn't want that, so we're gonna create a memorandum of understanding between the town and the Hochatown Volunteer Fire Department. And basically that's just gonna cover, it addresses if the contract were to be terminated with Okie Safety, then we would find a replacement immediately, or we would terminate the AHJ and that would go back to the State Fire Marshal's office. Just some protections from them so it doesn't fall back on anybody at the HBFD. They also had some questions on what happens and who to go to whenever you have some sort of a propane leak or a fire alarm situation, and then we're gonna build that out into the MOU. Other than that, we finalized our SAMS.gov registration so the town can formally apply for grants. We will have a UEIN number within about 10 to 15 days. So that's going to be some great news for us to start applying for grants. We had several meetings with Oklahoma Municipal League, their benefits specialist Melinda Grantham, and we've picked out a plan that we'll talk about later in today's meeting. She's made a recommendation on which plan most cities and towns are going with these days. As far as police goes, the police chief position has been posted, and so far to date we've received approximately 15 applications. I had a meeting with the Oklahoma Police Pension and Retirement System, OPERS, to identify processes that we will need to go through as a town in order to cover our future law enforcement employees. I also had a meeting with OHP's Chief Patrick Mays. Chief Mays has offered to attend our interviewing process for the position of police chief. Had a couple of meetings this month as well with Keto. They've really been great to offer up and make us knowledgeable, notify us of grant funding opportunities that are coming available. One of these grant funding opportunities that's coming available is an EV charging station grant. And essentially that's going to be, or it was originally an 80-20 grant that requires the applicant to put down 20% of the cost. However, they have a sponsor for the grant, so it's going to be a 100% grant funding opportunity. I'm going to do like a short write-up, and we're going to post it on Facebook to allow business owners to basically volunteer a position if they're interested in having an EV charging station in front of their place of business. And so we can submit virtually as many applications as we would like, is what Keto had said. And so the sites that they believe would be best and most conducive for our community, those are going to be the ones that get selected through the grant grading process. I found an opportunity to become what's called a Google Maps affiliate, and so that's to get Google to upload the Hochatown's addressing system into their mapping data. So this will make it possible for existing cabins and STRs to simply enter the address of the cabin and then obtain the directions to that cabin instead of having to look at a page, step-by-step breakdown on how to get to your cabin. So hopefully we can get that done here pretty soon. That's going to be great. We're still working on getting that all set up. And then for our fire department, Title 11, We do have the ordinances, and thank you, Liz, our attorney, for that. We do have the ordinances to create the department. However, I recommended actually pulling those items from today's agenda because we still have a lot more of planning to do before we commit to that process. Does anyone have any questions on that report so far? There's a lot of other things that have happened this last month that's not covered in this.
Back to Camp Ranch Road, the 3.7 mil, how far does that go? Does that take us to the city limits, current city limits?
That's only for the 2 mile stretch that's within Hochatown's municipal bounds.
Well, I asked, to our city limits.
Did you get any sleep this month, Adam?
So, yeah.
I know, no, this is just so fantastic.
We're rolling.
You know, all the things that we've been asking for, police, fire, roads, ordinances.
Have we actually started work on some of the roads, county or private or otherwise?
We're still waiting to get our cost estimates back from our contractors, but I'm trying to push as soon as possible.
What about the zoning, the high level recommendations? Who are we leaning on that, on the zoning?
That's TSW, that's the planning and zoning firm that we had entered into an agreement with last month.
Okay.
And I don't have a copy of what their draft is, but they'll have that draft ready for us at the end of this week. And then
Okay.
I'll just forward it to you and see if you have a copy of what their recommendations are.
Great.
But once they get that document to me by the end of this week, I'll send it out to our P&Z and then our board members as well.
Okay.
And then after that, we'll do our introductory meeting. We're looking at doing it on the August 19th.
Okay.
Randy, you were P&Z, right? How many meetings did y'all have? Half a dozen?
At least
That's what, I mean, there was a lot of work to
several months.
get to the draft stage.
Several months.
Yeah.
of meetings.
Yeah, okay, good, thanks.
Those asphalt buildings, Adam, are they, who's in charge of them? I know they're obviously giving them to us for free, which is great.
Mhm.
Are they transporting those for us? Or?
We already have it transported and it's being stored with Primo Ready Mix. Keith Shearer has offered us to store those materials since we don't have a yard at this time. He's volunteered his yard and we're very thankful for his supporting the town.
So the material is here ready for,
That's correct,
Pothole.
but
Ready for a pothole.
we're
ready for
creating
locals to.
a fair and equitable process of distributing those
Okay, so
materials
it's not available yet for distribution.
once we set up the process.
Okay.
How are those actually applied? Is it just like you see, they're in the back of a dump truck and a guy with a shovel and they're filling potholes, or are they?
We have not established the process yet at this time.
Got it.
And so it may be a situation where you can come out and pick it up and we'll drop it with a mini X, or we'll have a full-on excavator to do it. But yeah, we haven't created that process at this time.
So we just got those, what, I mean, a week ago?
Yeah, a little over a
Maybe,
week ago.
you know, so-
Yeah, we just got those
Well, that's-
fillings.
And tomorrow, isn't that what, and we meet tomorrow to discuss?
Yeah,
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what that is
Yeah.
about.
we're gonna try and create that process and then we'll make it public. Also, I reached out to Anthony, our district engineer, to let him know that any future ODOT projects where they're milling up old remains of asphalt, please let us know because we need as much material as possible.
We got that one through the rumor mill, so
Mhm.
we'll take that news any way we can get it.
Yeah, that's
You know.
fantastic.
Free millings
So,
and,
yeah, I think
Yeah,
this
we
would be an
had-
opportunity for us to allow those materials to go towards a private road that the town can't touch at this time. So that's why we're establishing the process, and we wanna make sure that it's fair and equitable and that not just one entity gets those materials.
Yeah,
Right.
great.
that was fantastic. Anything else? Okay, remember, Adam's here every day, all month long, if you still have questions, feel free to contact him.
I do have a recommendation. I don't know, there's nothing in here other than what we just spoke of about our roads, right? That's the last agenda item. I mean, there's nothing in this agenda about any work on the roads, correct?
No,
Not really, I mean, we got our Garber reports.
Right, well, I don't.
Throw it in here, I
And I can take it out at
it's
end
just
of business or whatever, but if it's about the roads, I would recommend that we raise the $10,000.
Oh, my
Oh,
spending
that's
limit?
on the
agenda.
Yeah,
That's on the
that
agenda.
is in the
That is,
agenda.
okay.
Yeah, so you
Okay.
guys will cover that. So technically, it's not about the roads, it's about my spending limit, but you guys
Okay.
are considering an increase to my spending limit so I can get out and take care of these roads a little bit
Yes.
faster. Cause that's been one issue that we've been consistently running into with our cost estimates. Is my $10,000 spending limit doesn't go very far when it comes to roads. So we're having to break down bids and projects into minute detail. And so I said, can we just hold up on this real quick while I go and plea to my board and see if they'll increase my spending limit so we can take care of these projects at a little bit larger scale.
Good.
Any more discussion on the administrator's report?
Nope.
Hearing none. Agenda number item 9, discussion, consideration, and possible action to increase the town administrator's monthly spending limit. We did that just for you, Todd.
You wanna do none first?
That is 9, that was 8, right?
No.
8 was discussion only of the,
No, 9 is wastewater engineering services with Garber.
okay, well, that's not what I've got on mine.
Mine's different too.
Hang on.
Yeah.
What do you got, Howard?
Who moved 9?
Number 8 is the monthly report, number 9 is the work order for Garber.
Yep.
And number 9, discussion to increase the town administrator's monthly spending limit.
Oh,
Okay.
that's 10
That's
on mine.
what I had.
Did somebody print out?
Well, we had several versions, so
Yeah.
this may be unique, you guys may have it.
So where is that in your agenda? If everybody can just find it real quick to,
Yeah.
It's number
Changes.
10 on mine and number 9 is the Garber.
okay. So can we just go ahead and do number 10 in everybody's packet?
Yes.
But our official meeting minutes are 9. Is that what got posted on the door? TC, will you look on the door real quick and see which one was posted? We'll just go with whichever one was posted. Just keep everybody happy. Can you read it upside down and backwards?
Yeah, just pull it off.
Nine is the work order.
Okay, so we're just gonna reverse mine then, okay? So, discussion, consideration, and possible action on work order number 240-1309 for wastewater engineering services with Garber Engineering in the amount of $165,925. Is that what you guys have?
That's right.
Okay,
Yep.
let's have a discussion. Wastewater. Cole, Mr.
Yes,
Niblett
ma'am.
is up.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
been, we've been chatting for what, 3 years now?
Something like
I
that.
think it's
quite a
been
while.
3 years, yeah, so, okay, Cole, why don't you come up here or wherever you're comfortable and just kind of share where we are. He's
Yeah,
with Garber
yes, ma'am.
Engineering, we've worked a lot.
Yeah, I've got to meet just about everyone. Brent, I don't think we've got to meet. My name's Cole Niblett. I lead our Oklahoma water team with Garber. So we just finished up what we call the conceptual wastewater system evaluation a few months ago. Several of you may have read that or seen that presentation. And so what this work order is essentially an expansion and building upon that work. And so this gets us to, we can go through the individual tasks, but the end product, this engineering report at the end of this work order, that knocks down a few key permitting milestones and gives us a DEQ approved engineering report that we can go solicit grants, go to the OWRB. It really sets the town up to attack some of those next milestones that are needed to actually get pipe in the ground infrastructure built. So as a whole, we can step through this in as much detail as we want, but essentially what we're going to do is again develop that ODEQ engineering report, and a big effort, a part of that is the discharge modeling for getting a discharge permit for the town of Hochatown's wastewater system. So that's called waste load allocation modeling, and so that's essentially a modeling effort that we do that proves to the state that the stream has that assembled in capacity, just like the Choctaws went through a bit ago for their wastewater plant. So we'll go through that modeling effort, develop a report, submit that to the DEQ, work through their comments. That then goes to the EPA. We will help you facilitate a public hearing period, all those good things. And at the end of that process, we'll help you apply for a municipal discharge permit. And so that gives us the discharge limits that would be enforced on the town. So it tells us exactly what that wastewater treatment facility would have to provide. So that's a big effort in here.
This was huge.
The other two components on working our way back up is a wastewater treatment evaluation. So getting a bit more detailed on what exact treatment methodologies or technologies make the most sense for the town. You know, does it start with the lagoon system and then we move to a full mechanical plant with an MBR, something of that nature? Putting more costs and evaluation to that to really identify what that looks like, and that's all required as part of the DEQ process.
So the MBR, you're talking about the membrane?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm just finding
I
out.
started throwing out acronyms, good, like a good engineer does. MBR, membrane bioreactor, that is just a treatment technology that is really common for small scale development, smaller plants, industrial treatment. You see it a lot, but it's a nifty treatment process that we think could make a lot of sense here. We're going to compare it against some other alternatives just to do our due diligence, but those are some things that you'll see in this effort. Another big component of this work order is what we're calling an alignment study. So, you know, through the main corridor to town, there's a lot of work in identifying where those main interceptors, the sewer collector interceptors, need to go. And so when I say interceptor, that just means a core arterial sewer line that collects most of the wastewater as it travels to that treatment facility. So in that previous report we delivered, you'll see, and I've got some handouts if we want to talk after the meeting, but there's a main ridge in the middle of town about 1.5 miles north of Stevens Gap. And so identifying how we collect all the wastewater to one common point for treatment, that's going to be a big effort. And so this is getting more detailed in this work order, seeing exactly where we can fit inside the ODOT right of way, where might we have to go outside of the ODOT right of way. All those good things actually lay out where does the pipe actually need to go on the ground. So that's a general overview of the scope. You will, as far as schedule, you will see most of those deliverables within the first 2 to 3 months. So we're going to be returning after a kickoff meeting. 2 months after that kickoff meeting, we'll have a workshop, followed by another workshop shortly after that to cover all the treatment, alignment evaluations, all those things. Beyond that, we're beholden to the permitting timelines. And so I would think from beginning to end is probably something like 6 months before we have a discharge permit approved with ODEQ and going to the EPA. That could drag out. That's a little bit outside of our control. Once it has the ODEQ and especially the EPA, sometimes those response times drag out. But if all goes well, we're hoping for roughly 6 months from start to finish for this engineering report process.
And will that engineering report include the collaboration with ODOT and Benchmark?
Yes, sir. So one thing we've already received from Anthony and the ODOT team is the preliminary plans for, or the final plans for the southern alignment that they're about to bid that will stop at about, right there at Hochatown Landing.
Yeah.
And so then we're also working with them to see what their plans look like for the northern half of that project, 259A and northward. And so that's going to be key because we'll be able to look at their plans, see how much room is in that right of way, where it gets too congested or not to lay our sewer lines.
Fantastic.
I see a lot of this is designing, what we wanna need and all that, but as far as just the permit, I know that the tribe already has a permit in Shaw, how confident are we that there is a permit available? Like, I would hate to do all this work and then get to the end and there.
Choctaw is asking that question.
Well, and we've worked excuse me, sorry, Mayor, didn't mean to cut you off, but we're working ahead a bit on that as well. We've already had a few conversations with DEQ and ran some preliminary estimates, and they're advising us that there's upwards of 70% of the Oshawa's capacity still left, including what the Choctaws already have in their permit. So without getting extremely stringent on the discharge limits, it does appear that there's capacity left to be permitted, and that's, talking with Adam and the rest of you, getting on this fast is the key to lock that in place and get you a permit.
So that permit can be shared in Yasha Creek. It's not
Just like storage rights.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how DEQ handles that is they look at the watershed as a whole. So through our modeling effort and through their efforts, they will essentially dictate how much capacity the Oshawa has, and so that'll inform how much the town can discharge within certain criteria to obtain that permit.
Great.
In this work, will there be properties identified that should be of the town's interest to look at purchasing to house this waste treatment facility and all that?
Yes, sir. We're gonna work closely with you guys on that because wherever we place that treatment system impacts the alignments to get the sewer to that location. So a lot hinges on where we can place that treatment facility. So we've already identified a few places that might make sense. And of course, we're gonna look and see if that's a feasible place to go build that plant. If it's not, we can get creative and move things around. But yeah, absolutely, that's something we'll work through.
Any more questions for Cole?
Has there been any collaborative efforts with Choctaw as far as any preliminary potential partnerships?
Preliminary conversations, yes, and we have contacts with their engineering team that designed their wastewater treatment plant, so certainly we're gonna get more detailed there to fully flesh out what might make sense there, because there could be some really interesting partnerships there, so that's something we wanna spend a lot of time talking about.
Great.
Is this this is not a final design, this is just engineering?
Yes, sir. So with a DEQ approved engineering report, what we'll have is what we like to call a 10% conceptual design. So we still call it conceptual design. It's not shovel ready. It's not ready to go build. but that does give about a 10% design is typically what we consider that. And so then at that point, you've got your budget, you've got your DEQ approval, we can start go getting grants and moving into detailed design for whatever that first phase of the work we actually want to bid out.
And that's why I do like these segments, you know, we spend $165,000 to find out that we can't even put in a sewer system, better than spending $4 million to find out, to fully design something, to find out that that's not gonna be permitted. So when we do it in these little chunks, we're like, okay, do we keep going forward? Do we need to adjust and then keep going forward?
Yes.
So,
Yeah, absolutely.
Is this initial design or engineering going all the way to Tinley Hill?
And that's a map from the previous report we put together. But yes, preliminarily, all the way to that Tingley Hill Road area, that's what we're considering the northern end of the potential sewer shed. So we may not bring sewer to that point, you know, right off the first cut in that first phase of building, but we want to plan for building out that entire corridor, you know,
Page 12,
within
that
town
one.
limits.
I know that's that I'm looking at, that's the reason I asked it.
yeah.
And that's another thing this engineering report will do is we'll work with you to develop a phasing plan. Maybe it doesn't make sense to sewer the entirety of that corridor right off the bat.
That's what that's the end, that's the thing I was looking for.
Yes, absolutely. The plan's got to be feasible and implementable. We understand that. And so once we start getting estimates, we'll sit down and look at what financing and grants are out there and see what makes sense. You know, maybe it's building out half the system at a time, something like that. But that's something we'll work through.
You know, we put our road maps on our website so people can look at them. We may want to consider putting some of these out there that I know we've had them on the boards up here for people to look at in previous meetings. But Diane, I wasn't at that meeting. So maybe something to consider for later. Okay. Todd, you good?
Cause, you know, I hate to break this up, but I got to.
Bring it up.
Adam just mentioned, you know, $50,000, we gotta go out for bid on roads. I know we've got an agreement with Garver. There's other engineering firms out there that I'm sure would like to have an opportunity to do this. When do we get fair with the rest of the work? And I don't know how else to say it. What is the limitations there?
Well, that's certainly a discussion that we can continue having. You know, when we started this project, I'm trying to remember if we were, were we even incorporated when we started talking to Garver? Do you guys remember?
So if I remember
But
right.
Cole probably remembers.
Yeah, so what the state of Oklahoma is a qualifications-based selection state for professional services, and so when we started working for you all, we submitted a statement of qualifications, you know, demonstrating why we felt we were qualified for this work, and that, you know, was the formal process to start officially working for the town at that time.
And that was all we needed. That's right. We do not have to bid the professional services. Liz can correct me.
That's for construction, that's
Adam said
correct.
that, yeah. As long as they meet the criteria that we need.
That's right.
Okay.
So this could, the time span on this is, you're anticipating, how long did you say? From the project kickoff to the alignment study and?
Yeah, so, and there's a schedule on that'll be page 11, so second to last page. But the bulk of our work will be done within the first 3 months from a kickoff meeting. That's where you're going to see, we'll sit down and have workshops, and you'll see deliverables on the alignment study, the treatment evaluation, and all those preliminary costs that we talk about. Beyond that, I'm expecting the additional permitting time for DEQ and EPA. You know, hopefully we get that done in, you know, another 3 months beyond that, so 6 months total. I do want to caveat that could drag out a little bit just depending on response times from the regulatory agencies.
Any ideas when we would have a map showing, like you said, where they would fit in easements and where they wouldn't fit in easements, and we would have to maybe acquire property to fit the sewer?
So within 3 months from a kickoff meeting, that's when we'll be sitting down and showing you what maps that we're thinking make sense, and then we can go through parcel by parcel and see, oh, that makes sense, or maybe that doesn't, we need to route around this area. So within the first 3 months, we're having those conversations.
We just want the toilets to flush. A lot of work,
So
to make
how
them
does it-
flush.
I'm just curious on,
Have somewhere to go.
I'm curious on how this works go as far as, it's hard for me to process some of these costs because I'm trying to determine, where the money kind of fits in as far as task 4 and task 5, as far as the expenditure that you guys are charging. It's what's included in that. I mean, do you have like an itemized list of what is included in that treatment evaluation and alignment study? And I mean, it's because we're just trying to justify the expenditure because it's a lot of money.
Absolutely.
And when you're not an expert at it, which you are, we're not, so we're looking at it going, do we need to vet this with another company, or do we need to consider the Carver's, because we've been down that road already, and so, it's really easy to just, when you've got a little money in the bank, to just say, we're okay. The end justifies the means. Well, I don't operate that way, so.
Absolutely.
I really wanna determine that, what justifies each expenditure. I don't know if there's a way to.
And also,
Go ahead.
and also to go along with it, so we just got a dollar of money in the bank. Doesn't mean we have it in the budget.
That's right.
Where does this come out of the budget? I promise you, out of the 2.9 we started with, this was not in there somewhere. So,
And I'll say, if I'm sitting in your chair, I'm asking the exact same questions. That's totally fair. First thing that comes to my mind is the magnitude of the project we're talking about. In the report we talked about, just the collection system and the regional lift stations we talked about is on a scale of 20 to 24 million. That doesn't include a mechanical treatment plant. So by the time we add all those up, that's a $40 to $50 million project. If you were to build everything out at one time. Not saying you have to do that. Typically in our industry, for a project like that, you're gonna spend roughly 10% of the construction budget on your engineer, for the most part. That fluctuates, that's a rule of thumb.
Okay.
But if you do some quick back of the envelope math for a project of that size, that kind of can get you a budget and justification for what the industry sees there. I'm happy to provide more detail. I can even tell you how many hours we're budgeting for each task. If you read through the scope, a lot of the description of what we're actually providing, the deliverables you're going to see, how much time we're spending on site, a lot of that's in this scope. So let's go to the alignment study just for the sake of conversation.
What page are you on?
That is page 8. So
Okay,
task
go ahead.
5. Yeah. So task 5 on page 8. So we don't have to read this line for line, but roughly, if we just look at the alignment study, we're considering just under 40,000 linear feet of that main corridor that we've got to collect sewer. So a few things that we're providing through that, we're going through and walking that entire alignment with a couple of our engineers. We're going parcel by parcel, looking at assessor records and all those good things. Parcel by parcel to see what might be available, what might make sense. We're looking at preliminary topo data, preliminary cost data for every single stretch of that alignment to identify what paths make the most sense for those major collectors. So that's an overview of what you can read through in detail on that task, and that alone is hundreds of hours of work to go through that level of effort. So I don't know if that helps at all, Chad, but I'm happy to provide more detail as far as the hours we have budgeted for each task, if anything like that would make it more useful.
Yeah, I just need to read through some of this, process some of it. That makes sense.
I think it's important to realize though that, this is being done in accordance with a master agreement that we executed last year.
Yes, sir.
This is not just a brand new contract that we need to discuss opening bids for. No, this is part of the master agreement that we already have.
We said these were our priorities,
Right.
roads, sewer, and so here's where we put the meat on the bones.
So the scope of services is about 5 pages here. So it's really a small report in and of itself, just describing exactly what we're going to do for each task. So this is a large project. There's quite a bit of work here, and I know that's not a fully justifiable answer. Like I know that phrase isn't what you need to hear, but there's a lot of work here. So there's hundreds.
Did you
of
tell
hours.
me that at the end of this project, that's 10% of the engineering?
Roughly.
But it's
yeah.
also getting you a permit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Okay.
Yeah, the permitting aspect of this is
That's
time
gonna lock your
consuming.
project in.
Yeah.
But it also, on page 5, it talks about, what did I see that earlier? I'll find it here again in a minute. Yeah, the permits are there, but then on top of this 165,000,
What page are you on, Howard?
I looked at it a while ago, and I'm trying to find it again. It talks about the permit, and it talks about the price of the permit. There's a ton of additional costs. We have to go buy new land, which I understand that, to put a waste treatment plant on. I found it.
Okay, take your time. Joel, do you happen to know right off the top of your head
So
where
it
that's
may
at,
be the
what page
permit
you
fee,
want?
so there's I know there's a statement, that the actual permit fee will be paid by the town, and that's, a couple $100, I believe, I don't have that number off the top of my head, but, I know that statement was in there. Just because that typically makes sense for the town to cut the check straight to DEQ.
It's on page 2, I'm sorry. Under scope of services, 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, obtain the necessary lands, easements, right of ways, for construction of work, all costs associated with securing necessary land, interest, on and on. So all additional charges, if you want to make sure the board understands that. A lot to absorb right here, and only seeing this in the last 24 hours. Is it, are we doing a discussion, I mean,
No,
is it feasible for us to table it, or take no action on it, and bring it back up next month, or in our next meeting, so we have time to absorb this a little bit more?
Just remember also that this work order doesn't pay for those things. The work order is going to, you correct me if I'm wrong, Cole, is going to give us the roadmap of, okay, now that we've identified what these pieces look like, then we have to go to kind of like that next step
I
of,
understand
can we afford it?
I understand that.
But I don't think we're gonna know whether we can afford it unless we identify the pieces.
Well, this town can't afford a $24 or $50 million sewer system. We don't have that kind of money, and I don't think it's gonna be a long time before we have that kind of money. We have to get help, fund, grant, something.
Well, yeah.
Everybody understands that.
Yeah, that's.
And you have to have these plans to.
And what those federal grants do require is that you have some of this, again, this preliminary initial, we can't go and ask for a $30 million federal grant to say, give us a sewer system, because we need it. We have to have this level of engineering report done before they will even accept the application.
And your right to discharge as well.
And I'd also say, this engineering report, that allows us to be more competitive for a slew of grants through the Bureau of Reclamation, CDBG, all those things. You score additional points if you have a DEQ for the engineering report for a lot of those. The other thing that we're helping you do is talk with senators, talk with representatives to start getting the conversation going on those earmarks like you're talking about. Starting now, so that once we actually get to a final engineering report, they've heard about it, they're familiar with us, and they say, oh great, here's your plan, let me see what I can do. So that's something we're also working on in the background as well.
And you break it down into phases as well in your
Right.
planning approach, so it's a feasible project each time.
And at some point, it may become.
I'm assuming payment will be made upon completion of each of those phases.
Of course.
Yes, yes.
And it has to go through
With
the
the
engineering
deliverables.
firm to ensure that it's up to the standard
Yeah, with the deliverables.
before they make their payouts approved.
Yeah, and I totally understand the magnitude of the costs and with how recently Hochatown was incorporated. I've worked with a lot of small towns, Davis, Hinton, a few others across the state. And I understand the struggle with finances, so we're here to help, and we've got some folks that can help put together some financing plans for that as well.
Which are the discussions we had when we first came in with Jerry Holden.
That's right.
Those were the first
So
discussions.
are we
we had.
100% confident that this is going to work with the ODOT project?
No.
Is there any,
There's always
that's, I mean, that, I think that's the tough question that no one can answer is, we spend this money, but then we find out, we're limited on what's currently there. I mean, I know that, we had a discussion with ODOT yesterday, and, you know, that they've got a tough road to hoe to make this work, and here we are bringing in a potential line, which I think, you know, they can make it work, but once again, that has not been engineered yet, so it's a lot of money to spend, without having 100% guarantee that it's gonna work.
But that is in their scope of,
But what Charles
It
has said
is.
makes me interesting, and so you're telling me that we're obligated to use Garver? I mean, that's what you mentioned, so you tell me yes or no,
I mean, you
I don't
can,
think so.
I mean,
This is just a part of a master contract that we've already signed, September of last year.
Is that true? Okay,
when we were in the other building.
okay, well, I'm
We
kinda
gotta
with,
get somebody to do it.
I'm with Charles on it, I would like to have some time to process it, I don't feel comfortable making, you know, that decision. I want some questions answered, it's hard to get them answered in a short-term meeting, and, you know, we haven't had time to absorb it. That's just the way I think. I mean, I appreciate what you're bringing to the table, and I think you guys will do a great job on it, but it's just a lot for me to commit to without having, you know, more information. And
I'm not sure what more information you can get at this point, because this is, where we have to find out what we're gonna need. I mean, for us to say, well, we might have to buy this amount of property or that amount of property, I mean, we can't even ask those questions without knowing exactly, you know, what can be done.
I have more questions on the work order itself. That's where I'm at. I need time to process and read this. I mean, and that's my thing about it, to see how this is just where I stand. And so, as far as them doing the job, I have no issue with that. Okay, so my issue is, Charles, I need time to read this and absorb it. And so, I know the scope of exactly what's gonna take place. That's just where I stand with it. Whether that takes me 2 days or whatever, that's just how I feel. And I think Charles feels, or I think Howard feels the same way. I mean, you know, more than likely we'll move forward, but it's a big commitment. And so, you know, that's where I'm at. And so I just wanna vet it just a little bit longer. Okay. But you guys can make that decision. I don't know where you guys haven't spoken
Any
much, so
more
where do y'all
discussion?
stand?
Well, I'm fairly new, but it's every meeting I've attended, and I know there's a long-term relationship with Garver. As far as it's important to understand the details of a large payment such as this. But it is broken down into different segments. I would personally, and not to put more work on our clerk, I would like to have these packets available, and this is in an attachment that we have. The West, okay. So I'm just the attachments.
Yeah, so.
And Adam has worked hard on this, you know, everybody's always welcome to visit with Adam at any time to get more information.
But I would be comfortable with proceeding on.
Todd, do you want to?
Question, $165,000 total, but it's broken down into these different tasks. Will we pay that 165, or is this basically a payment schedule? Once this task 1 is complete, we would send it 13,000. Once task 2, or do we pay the 165 and then wait for the task?
I only bill you for the percent complete, so I'll send
Sometimes it's 80%.
I'll send a monthly invoice based on the amount of work we've completed, and at any time, if Adam feels like, hey, I feel like you're a little behind, I'm getting billed for 50%, but I don't feel like we're 50% done. That's a conversation that happens on a monthly basis. You never pay for this work until you feel comfortable that a reasonable percentage of work has been completed.
And that's how we paid in the past. And Howard and I look at those.
well, we got a couple of invoices for y'all on our agenda right now.
Yeah, and they show us how much is completed.
So like,
You know,
sorry, Charles. Task 2 is complete, you guys send us an invoice for $13,655, and then you will come in and you'll actually.
Not necessarily, if he gets 50% of task 1 done, he'll bill us 50%.
For 7,000.
Right, but I guess what I'm saying is before there will be some kind of, we will actually receive something that tangible that we can look at and know that the project is before.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Before you pay 100% on any task, we will have given you that deliverable, come in and discussed it, and we won't bill that to 100% until you're comfortable that that is 100% complete.
That very conversation that's fixing to come up here in just a few minutes, okay?
I feel comfortable making a motion to approve the work order for Garber Engineering.
Okay, we have a motion on the table, do we have a second? I'll second it. I think if we want sewer, we've gotta move forward. Roll call vote, please.
Howard Haggard,
Yes,
Diane Jordan,
Yes.
Todd McDaniel,
Yes.
Chad Sargent,
I'll say
Brenda Walters.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries.
Keep moving so we can flush the ordinance finally. Okay, discussion number, okay, so let's go back. You guys are on number,
Number 9.
10 now, right? Okay. Discussion, consideration, and possible action to increase the town administrator's monthly spending limit. Adam, do you wanna
Yeah.
explain what's going on?
Yeah, so as we talked about in the town administrator's report, we're running into issues with breaking down projects that are within my expenditure limits. So today I'm just asking the board to increase that number, and we didn't put a specific number on that ask, so you guys can have a free conversation here and decide what you're most comfortable with.
I would like to just start with saying, I know the minimum before it goes out to bid is 50,000. I say we raise it to the max, and then we, as far as a checks and balances, maybe Adam turns in when we have these meetings, he says, this is the roads we're gonna work on this month, this is the allocated or appropriated funds, or what we think it's gonna need, and anything outside the scope of that, we have to have a special meeting or something like that, but monthly, he turns in a schedule, and then we approve that schedule, and then.
So you want him, instead of being able to work in advance, you want him to work in arrears?
Do you want me to
No.
go ahead and make the expenditure and then report it to you, is that what you're saying?
Well,
And then
just-
provide you a report with the expenditures,
just
or do you want me
something-
to get the cost estimates first before I make the expenditure?
Well, like, I'm sure you got a plan right now, what roads that you're fixing to start working
Yeah.
on, and you got a cost schedule.
Yeah,
I mean, that could be given to us, and then I guess, as long as we've got it before the actual work begins and we see it, and if we have any issues, maybe there's a special meeting had, or we're like, hey, we need to get a special meeting because something's going on,
So do you want him to send a notice of, hey, this is the work that's going on, if I don't hear from you within 48 hours,
I'm moving on, I'm
Right.
starting the project.
I mean, he has authority unless he's told not to.
Right, exactly, yes, just as long as there's some.
you want communication.
Yes, then we know what's being worked on. I mean, that's really it. And that's not from just me, that's for you to.
Yeah, I can give you start dates when we've scheduled the contractor to do the work, and then what the scope of the work consists of, and then what the estimated cost will be of the project.
I think it's some kind of accountability, protect you, protect us.
Yeah.
But also, you're not sitting around waiting on us in every meeting to do the project.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to avoid, is
Yeah.
if we're only gonna have, some boards meet weekly. If we don't wanna meet weekly, when we come to the meetings monthly, we need to be able to let him get the work done.
Yes, no.
Otherwise, we're waiting another month and we still don't have any roads fixed, and that's the number one phone call we're taking is, what about roads,
Right.
roads, roads?
No, I don't want you
Yeah.
to delay at all, I
I don't wanna delay.
some kind of accountability, that way you're protected, we're protected.
everything that's been said so far is rough. This
Yeah.
says monthly spending limit.
It's just my spending limit in general. So I could technically, if you increase my spending limit, I could go out and buy up to $50,000.
Whatever you want.
Of chairs or office equipment, so I just want you guys to be mindful of that is my expenditure limit, so. And of course, I would always communicate with you on large purchases, but I just want you guys to be mindful that this is my spending limit in general, not in particular to roads. So just be cognizant of that whenever you're deciding on the amount.
Yeah, I think if you give him an amount, it's at his discretion.
Right.
And then if you want
better be on
checks,
roads.
if you want checks and
Yes, that's the
balances,
reason we need to
he can
specify
include
that.
in his administrative report what he
What-
spent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think he needs prior approval.
I don't
Right.
think
I
that's
agree.
it.
I feel like if he-
That would defeat the whole purpose.
I feel like if he spends 50 grand on the jet ski,
We're gonna,
We would
I
see
know
it.
that.
Or a plane.
Yeah, yeah, we'll find it. That, you know, in the administrative report, we would see it, and it would only happen once.
Right, there we go.
And then I would be without a job.
So,
So-
I mean, that kinda goes back to, Howard had a comment over here, and we were talking over each other just a little bit, and I apologize for that. Howard, will you repeat what you were talking?
Do we increase his spending limits just for the roads and take him up to that 49,999? Now he's ready to go for roads. He can spend $50,000 a month on roads.
At each transaction, not per month.
True.
It's any
So
transaction.
that says he can go out there and write 10 work orders for $49,000. 10 or 12 or 15 or 50 work orders per month for $49,000. That's what we take it to. That's what that means.
Yes, sir. That's right. That's what that means.
So Adam, do you have an amount?
I'm not comfortable with that.
I'd recommend, at a minimum, you guys consider 25,000. I think that's pretty reasonable, but if you would like to give me more, we can run with it. So,
Howard, how did you come to that? I mean, if we give him a budget of 49,000, period, a month, how can he spend 49,000 10 times?
That's not what he
well,
said.
if you increase my spending limit, then it would be per transaction, on a
Per
transaction
transaction.
basis.
Here it says per month.
Still governed by
He's
budget.
saying per transaction.
Oh,
That means he can do it 50 times a day.
That's correct.
That's
Is
about
that what
it.
you're asking?
That's what it
Yes.
means. if we
Yeah,
give it to
my
him.
spending limit right now is 10,000 per transaction.
And he can go out there and do $10,000 10 times a day, if that's what he wants to
Well,
do.
is there a way to amend it to where it's,
We can amend this.
yeah, so that it's, you know, when it comes to roads, it's this amount, all other spending is,
So what if we word it a little bit like this? What if we, keep a spending limit at 10 for routine, town,
Standard expenses.
expenses?
And you get
But
that.
for roads, again, I don't know how quickly we can get everything done, but do we give him, up to a $300,000 max, not to exceed the 50,000 limit that we have per transaction?
with
Per
a,
month.
with a cap at
With the
300
cap.
or
I
something,
mean,
whatever.
Adam, how many roads do you think we can get done in a month?
Quite a few if you.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you guys want the roads fixed or not?
If we have the easements,
Look
and
at
we
the
have the
budget.
money, we can get quite
Well,
a
I
few.
think it needs to be.
We got $1 million.
But-
Got $1 million.
But here's the thing is at the end of the day, if the project in total is 50,000 or above, it's gonna have to go for bid anyway. So we're gonna have to have engineers involved and draw the scope of work, et cetera.
And it's something,
That can be eliminated too. You just lower the scope of the road or don't pay 4 miles, pay 3 miles and keep it below 50,000.
Then you're bid rigging.
Then you're doing sections.
That's illegal.
eventually we can get to a PO system to where, to Howard's point, Mr. Treasurer over here,
Thank God, I hope one of these days.
but we're not there yet. We have some money in the bank, we have a budget. If we can limit the total amount for roads that are less than 50,000 per order, what number would we be comfortable with so that he can get the roads fixed?
Well, we've got $1 million budget, do we know what we've spent of that, have we spent any, nothing? So we got
No,
$1 million
we
bucks.
just got our resolution passed during our last special meeting.
Yeah.
So divide that by 12, or whatever your monthly, and then put a monthly cap on it, that equals that, and then we allow any left to carry over to the next.
Yeah, I like that, but get to reuse your data at the end of the month,
Yes.
That's a great idea. I can do that as well. We can frame that.
So,
That's $1 million divided by 12.
I'm not even gonna try to say that.
I'm not either.
well, it's just under, if it's 12 million, then, let's say 800,000 a month.
Yeah, it's 83,000 bucks a month, basically.
So there we are, But do we want to do more upfront? Why would we want to separate this into 12 months? Nobody wants to be on the road that has to wait till month number 11 to meet that
Well, if that's the
monthly
case, then
amount.
we'll draw up the scope and then we'll have a special meeting. We'll get you guys to approve it, and you guys can make the adjustments. We can host this. It'll go to a special meeting if you guys have the availability to meet to talk about that road, whatever project that is, or we can wait for the regular meeting and get that done.
I'd rather spend more upfront now to get the roads fixed than having to do it by the month.
So
I'd rather give him more money to do roads
spend
now.
$1 million in 2 months, and for the next 10 months, we can't put 1 ounce of rock on the roads.
We
I'm not
can,
gonna-
we
I
can
wouldn't- I
also
wouldn't
make
do that.
amendments to our budget.
Yeah, we can.
We can make amendments to the budget, we got
It's
5 million in
financially-
the
That would be
bank.
financially responsible.
I think our residents want roads, I think they're willing to take $1 million out of the rainy day fund,
Yeah,
if it means getting the roads fixed.
If we allowed the 80, so we did 83,000 a month, we already went a few months without
Mhm.
the spending, so we could
No,
take that.
no, our budget started July 1.
Oh, it did,
Yeah.
okay, I thought so.
Yeah,
So we
fiscal,
got one
fiscal
more.
year.
Fiscal year, got it.
Yeah,
I would hate to limit him to 83,000 a month.
that's what I'm saying, I think people want
I mean,
roads
that's-
today.
Mm.
That would be maybe 4 projects. Depending on where.
Well, I think it can be amended later also, we can start somewhere.
Yeah.
And see.
You can amend it
you know.
next meeting if you want. If we
Yeah,
don't
we'll
like
just
the way
see
it's
how, what is, you know, feasible for the individual that's gonna be repairing these roads and, you know, they can only do so much as well. And so that's gonna be a realistic expectation is determining how much they can accomplish, you know, within a given time with other jobs too.
Right.
Because most companies have other people to take care of too, so
So
that would be interesting.
what
to
if we do
start.
this? I'm trying to avoid special meetings, but everybody feel like they've had enough information during the meeting. What if on this one, kinda headed where Todd was, we amended the action item to increase the spending limit for the next, until the next meeting? Let's go ahead and give him some money right now this month so that he can do it. And, you know, maybe that's 100,000 just for this month only. Get these roads going and then next month come back to us with a road plan and detail. But that would at least get him ahead of the game instead of always a month behind.
What's a good number that gets you rolling?
Just give me a 25 per transaction, I think that would work.
But see, Howard's,
The transaction
No,
is,
there needs to be a limit.
you can go, you don't need to be out there trying to do 25 work orders for $25,000.
I'm not gonna do that.
Well, I don't know that. We don't know that. But if I give that power to you, we don't know that. I trust that you wouldn't. And I hope that you wouldn't. But if we write it that way, you have that authority to do it, and ain't a damn thing we can do about it.
Okay.
I
Howard,
mean, that's just the way it is.
Howard,
Write it down. You know.
let's see if this will satisfy you. What if we, instead of calling it this monthly spending limit per transaction, again, we already know there's a limit of 50,000 per transaction, so we don't need to go over that. But can, for 1 month, we give him 200,000 just for this month, and then that way we're always a month rolling before we have a problem. But with that,
We have money that's designated for roads. However, my spending limit that I can approve payment on is $10,000. If the cost estimate for that project to lay gravel on choke, let's say for example,
12,000.
comes back over $10,000, I cannot approve that work order.
About another meeting.
What's your road
Without
budget right
another-
now?
It's 2 million. Or,
Okay.
I'm sorry, it's $1 million. You guys said.
Right, that's what I was
sorry.
saying. So, I mean, we got a $1 million road budget. Can we not work 30 days in advance, let him have 200,000 total for
I-
the month?
I need the transaction.
still gotta
But at a
raise it.
transactional level,
Because if
yes,
it's
at the
over 10,000,
transactional
it has to
level.
come to the board.
So basically.
So
we're-
25,000
we're
at a limit of,
And we're capping it at 200,000.
For the month.
This month.
For
And
the
just
month.
see, then next month we would,
and next month he can, that gives him some time to, and he goes, hey, next month I can do $400,000 worth of roads. Then we can decide if we wanna do
Why
400 for the
don't we
next
just
month.
round the numbers off and give him $45,000 per transaction and give him 250,000 this month?
That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
Now
There you
you
go.
got
That's
the
perfect.
45,000 and five transactions.
The jobs that I can approve.
I don't think our contractors can keep up that much
I don't
income.
Yeah.
If you approve that, then
That would be
each
awesome.
job I can approve will be up to 45,000 in cost.
All right, let's see if we can see
Without
that.
having to bring that to.
You
the
gotta
board.
repeat it exactly like
No,
you said.
I don't have to.
Okay, so, let me,
$45,000 a month transactions.
I make a motion
Yes.
to raise our administrators' monthly spending for roads only to $45,000 per transaction, limited to $250,000
A month.
per month
Yep.
for the next 2 months.
Yep.
We'll look at it again in
There you
2
go.
months. I can
That's-
say that again, I hope you got
I got it.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Did I say that right? I think I got it right. I think I got it the way I wanted it,
Okay.
or the way I feel
So-
comfortable with.
I think it's perfect.
So we're only amending his spending limit for roads and not other transactions.
I don't think he's got an issue with other transactions
have
right
any
now.
issue
It's
with
just the
that.
roads.
If you prefer, I mean, I know that you're increasing my spending limit, but I will make purchases
So,
over 10, and I can.
So we have an error in this posting because it describes it as a monthly spending limit.
Well, you covered that
We
with
can
the two
amend
hundred
that.
and fifty thousand.
Yeah.
Okay.
You covered that.
So does that not also need to say that this would be a new spending limit?
Well,
In some
we've got
way?
it, so
Because
to,
this is only, I mean, we have a spending limit monthly, not monthly,
Per
per
transaction.
transaction for 10,000. We're not changing that.
except for roads.
So now we're doing one for roads, so essentially this is
Essentially,
an
we're
additional spending
We're
limit.
adding an additional.
So we either
spending.
need to combine
There you go.
the statement to say the existing $10,000
It's
per
too many.
transaction remains in effect
There you go.
for items other than roads.
That's
Does that
fine.
make sense?
I think
I'm
Helen's
fine
got
with
it.
that.
That makes sense, Helen?
Done. Give her a second.
The existing 10,000 per month spending limit remains in effect.
It's not per month.
Per transaction. I know it says per month, that's what, this one we're
Yeah,
gonna do
per-
this
yeah,
amendment.
Per month is.
But I thought
fine.
that's what your problem was.
No, my problem is that we're setting a spending
Okay,
allocation
the
for
existing
roads
10,000 per
separate from other
transaction.
transactions.
Okay, the existing 10,000 per transaction remains in effect. Raising the administrator's monthly spending for roads.
Not monthly.
Okay, you guys,
Okay.
say it.
I'll say it for you, so. So Howard is making a motion, if I understand Howard correctly, to provide the town administrator with a $45,000 per transaction spending limit with a maximum of $250,000.
Okay, just a sec. Provide the town administrator 45,000
Per transaction.
Per
per
transaction.
trans, okay,
The town administrator at a spending limit.
okay.
Limited to 250,000 per month.
Effective for the next 62 months.
Effective for the next 2 months, or the next 60 days.
But then with that, the existing $10,000
There's nothing-
spending limit per transaction
Still-
will stay in effect for town
Okay,
necessities.
General.
Cause I've got like about 4 different versions of this. So,
That's okay,
to
go
provide
ahead.
the town administrator 45,000 per transaction, limited to 250,000 per month, effective for the next 60 days.
And then there needs to say for roads.
4 roads on it.
That's good.
For roads exclusive.
Good?
Yes, sir.
The existing 10,000
Yeah.
will continue
We
for,
haven't touched it.
yeah,
Okay. Remains in effect.
for other transactions of roads.
For general spending.
Yes. General government.
Okay,
Okay,
okay. The motion is to provide the town administrator 45,000 per transaction, limited to 250,000 per month, effective for the next 60 days for roads exclusive. The existing 10,000 remains in effect for general spending. Okay?
That's great.
For all other spending.
That's what Howard said
There you go.
okay,
in his motion.
That's my motion.
okay,
Guys,
so
Thank you, Helen.
Howard has made a motion, team effort, good job.
I will second that.
Okay. We have a second by, any more discussion on that? Everybody good, okay,
Change anything up?
nobody better change anything. Okay,
What?
we got a second by Brenda.
I'll let you guys
Mm.
Yeah. Okay, would our volunteer clerk like to, call the roll call
Yes.
for that?
Yes, she will. Howard Haggard,
Yes.
Diane Jordan,
Yes,
Todd McDaniel.
Yes.
Chad Sargent,
Yes.
Brenda Walters.
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries.
go fix some roads.
Go fix roads.
Thank you, thank you. Okay. Tell me about that job, and I'm feeling excited with seeing some action here. Okay, I have item number 11, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve the purchase of the QuickBooks online software package for the town treasurer at a cost of $15 a month. Is that what your agenda item says? Okay.
I make a motion to approve the purchase of the QuickBooks online software package.
I have a question now. I want to have a little discussion first. Just like with Adam, I mean, does the treasurer need a budget so he doesn't have to come to the meeting and say, can I spend $15 a month? I mean, is there a reason we don't have that in general operating?
I could have made that purchase
Okay.
if
Adam,
someone
help
asked
me
me.
with that.
I can make that purchase if someone had asked me.
It's
I can buy it.
$10,000 limit.
Yeah, so, I mean, do we really need to have that? I mean, we can go ahead and approve it or whatever, but I'm just saying, is it a good use of the board time to approve a $15 monthly?
You can send it to me and I'll get it.
Okay. Howard, are you good or not good?
I'm good with it.
Just take no action and I'll buy it after the meeting.
Okay. So, do we have a motion to take no action on item 11?
I'll make a motion to take no action on item
Does
11.
he
We
can just
just
do it?
not approve.
What does that mean? I guess we can, but he said he can already approve it. I just feel like it's, splitting hairs for the board meeting. But if we want to go ahead and go with the motion, we can, just approve it.
I made a motion.
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, so Brenda has a motion that we just go ahead and approve the purchase of the QuickBooks. Todd made a second. Before we go on, Howard, do you have any more discussion about it? Okay, all right. Roll call vote, please.
Howard Haggard.
Yes.
Diane Jordan.
Yes.
Todd McDaniel.
Yes.
Chad Sargent.
Yes.
Brenda Walters.
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries.
Okay. Item number 12, discussion, consideration, and possible action to enter into quarterly general pest service agreement with LVS Pest Control and Tree Care Consulting not to exceed $125 per quarter. So that is in our packet, if you will turn to.
Is this a every 90-day treatment? Is that what that is?
Quarterly.
Yes.
Quarterly? I'm not going on there.
Who's the LBS Pest Control?
That was my question. I've never heard of them.
They're a local pest control business.
Yeah.
Carissa reached out to them, and if you want to make a comment about your other quotes that you've obtained.
Yeah, so we have one from Four Ways. Well, they're located in Idabel. LBS is located in Hochatown. So that's pretty neat. And they also use environmental friendly, what do they call it? Pesticides. And they rotate them every quarter. And that's to prevent the pests from developing a biological resistance to the treatment. So I thought that was pretty neat. And all of the products that they use are approved by the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry. So the quarterly cost is about $25 more than Four-Way, but again, they're environmental friendly and they're within our town bounds.
I do like
Thank you,
doing
Carissa.
business with members in our community, even if sometimes they are a little more expensive, as long as the end results are comparable to what we get when we go outside of our boundaries for.
Four-Way Pest Control has been in business for 30 years or more.
Right.
And they do or have lived in our community, most of those family members.
The Snyders live right
They live here now.
here in my
Yeah.
neighborhood.
One of the
Billy
property,
Snyder and his wife, yes.
property management.
I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, I was curious what.
They've been in business, how long have they been in business?
I'm double checking, but I believe it's around 7 to 8 years.
We've closed several transactions at Grand Land where the
LVS did the,
LDS, or that we know them as Four-Way, as
no, Four-Way is not the same as LVS. LVS is a local provider and Four-Way is out of Idaho.
It's a different.
Oh,
We have two
it's
quotes.
just our other comp.
We have competitive bids there for that. Two quotes.
So
We do now, we didn't in our package.
Right.
Right here.
Yeah.
I don't know
So
why
Four-Way
Four-Ways was
is-
not in the packet for us to look
Yeah.
at.
So Four-Way does have a local connection there. At least the owner and his son Brian have lived here in Hochatown. No, Billy Snyder, the owner, lives in Hochatown, it's her neighbor, that's what she just said.
Yeah, he lives in Choctaw.
And
Yes,
Ryan
like,
and
Mary
his,
lives there.
I live over there too.
I don't know. I mean,
Ryan
he has
is
a
his-
place there. I mean, he has a garage there where his trucks are and stuff, so I think.
and
Billy's
then
not-
Brian and his wife have been living back up here for months, once their home was damaged, so.
Well, do we wanna table this until we
Yeah,
have
I
a
think-
chance to look at four ways, cause that was not included in our packet as an option?
Yes.
We can't even consider four-way if it's not on the agenda.
Right.
Yeah, we'll table it.
Make a motion to take no action.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion to take no action. By Howard, Chad Hart is a second.
Yes.
Diane Jordan,
Yes,
Todd McDaniel,
Yes.
Chad Sargent.
Yes.
Brenda Walters.
Yes.
Okay,
we're gonna take no action, we'll look at that next month. Hope the road just don't bite us in the meantime. Item number 13, are you guys good? We're at 2:15, y'all wanna just keep rolling through and may need a break? 5-minute break? Okay. Discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve the Messer Fort Municipal Law Firm invoice number 23405 for $1,912.50. I wanna go ahead and draw your attention to items number 13, 14, and 15, which are all invoices, and all are related to the planning and zoning work that we've been dealing with for months now. Adam, or Brenda, either one, do y'all want to provide commentary on these final invoices?
Mayor, I think you've already assessed the situation here. These are invoices that are billed from Julie Ford, the attorney which was working on our zoning code regulations.
Okay.
Are the zoning code, they're done now that they've moved on to the next phase that we discussed earlier, or they?
They're not done. So actually, the product here needed a lot of work, and that's why we reached out to TSW to re-review
Yes.
the work that has been completed. So we're no longer using Messer.
Okay, that's what I was getting, we're not gonna get any more invoices.
This is
for
close.
them.
This- this closes out.
This should make them whole. And
Okay.
close it out.
Yeah, it makes them whole, and we have all of our files, our documents, all of those things.
There was
That's
quite a
correct.
bit of work that was done. There was quite a bit of work that was
That's what I
done.
said, Brenda was in on the work, so this was it was a heavy lift starting from zero.
Yes, yes.
But-
Yeah, she got a significant portion
And-
done.
And Julie was essential in sitting down with volunteers who
Have you ever done this
basically no
before?
knowledge of any of this, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, her efforts were,
She started with, I mean, we've got what, 300 pages of work that we started with zero, with a bunch of
and having
volunteers
a
that,
different suggested zoning.
yeah. So it's just time to move on to the next group, I think. Okay, so any more discussion for item number,
We gotta do, we did the one.
13.
yeah, item number 13, for the invoice for $1,912.50. You've got a copy of this.
Make a motion that we approve the payment invoice 23405, 191250.
Okay, we have a motion by Howard to approve the invoice. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Chad. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Howard Haggard.
Yes.
Diane Jordan,
Yes.
Todd McDaniel,
Yes.
Chad Sargent,
Yes.
Brenda Walters.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries.
Okay, let's get Julie paid. Item number 14, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve Messer Fort Municipal Law Firm invoice number 23172 for $2,612.50, which is the second one that's listed in your tabs. They're all under the Messer Fort tab.
I'll make that motion to approve invoice 23172 for 261250.
Okay, we have a motion by Howard to approve it. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And second by Chad. May we have a roll call vote?
Howard Haggard.
Yes.
Diane Jordan,
Yes.
Todd McDaniel,
Yes.
Chad Sargent,
Yes.
Brenda Walters.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries.
Okay, rolling right along. Item number 15, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve the Messer Fort Municipal Law Firm invoice number 22535 for $10,302.02. And these do go back to March when some of that heavy lift was going on. As I came in on, and it sat in a couple of the meetings part-time. So there was some
It
monumental
just
learning.
bothered me a little bit. We were getting an invoice coming back from March.
Yeah.
We were already in August, but I'll make a motion to approve invoice 22535 for $10,302.02.
Okay, we have a motion by Howard, do we have a second?
I'll second.
By Chad, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Howard Haggard,
Yes.
Diane Jordan,
Yes.
Todd McDaniel,
Yes.
Chad Sargent,
Yes.
Brenda Walters.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries.
Okay, item number 16, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve the Civic Plus invoice number 299,718 for community development core setup for $17,800.
This is part of the initial website proposal. As a matter of fact, since our website is still so early in its design phase, I just recommend at this time we can table it and we can hold off until next month till we get a little bit further along. But again, these are the community development modules, so this is permitting, inspection requests, code enforcement, operations. If people have road issues or miscellaneous issues in town, they can go online to our website, through our fancy new website, and they can file a report or a claim or file for a building permits. They can request inspection services, et cetera. But I recommend at this time that we just table this until we get a little bit further with the website design.
Okay. We have a-
And that was the whole question of putting it on the agenda, was to, have our services are delivered yet so far.
No,
We
no.
have to spend it.
No, it's
Pay it.
not.
And that's,
Nope.
that's the only reason it was there, okay, thank you.
Okay,
Uh,
should we take no action on this?
Yeah,
Just
that's
give us
fine.
time in case, I hate to table it and then lose our time frame. Okay, so do we have a motion to take no action on the Civic Plus?
I'll make a motion to take no action on Civic Plus.
Okay, so we have a motion to take no action from Chad, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Todd, roll call vote please.
Howard Haggard,
Yes.
Diane Jordan.
Yes.
Todd McDaniel.
Yeah.
Chad Sargent.
Yes.
Brenda Walters.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
I will say I have been looking at some of the drafts that have been provided and looked at those with Adam, and I mean, it all looks good, but it will be nice for the board to be able to maybe see you know, those fake links, as I call them, where you can go look at it before it actually happens. It'd be nice for our people to be able to go online and look at fees and things that they need, instead of having to call us and not get the answers they need immediately. Okay, motion carried for that. Item number 17, discussion, consideration, and possible action to enter into an agreement with Civic Plus for hosting online code of ordinances services for a 12-month term with an initial cost of $2,239.25, and then the annual recurring services rate of $2,495 services.
This one, I would go ahead and
Yeah.
recommend approval of this, so that way we can get our code of ordinances codified. This is part of Muni Code, which is a municipal code of ordinances solution that will be plugged into our website and makes our code easily searchable, accessible by the public.
They do this for many municipalities around. This is really good. It keeps us from trying to, you know, update an ordinance and not up to date. It's sometimes based on the state statutes to change. Any more discussion on that agreement?
Is this 12 months effective now, or is this calendar month, or calendar year, or fiscal year?
We will not begin getting billing until services have been rendered. So it'll start whenever their product is ready to go.
Well, we're asking to approve this.
Mm-hmm.
But does that start, if we sign it today, does it start today?
No,
And 12 months from
not
now?
until the services have gone online.
And then it's 12 months following
Next
that.
12 months from that point,
Right.
and you'll let us know what time that, what
Yeah.
point that is. Okay.
Any more discussion on ordinances getting online? Okay, do we have a motion to enter into the agreement with Civic Plus for the hosting of the ordinances?
I make a motion to enter that agreement.
Okay, Brenda's made a motion that we accept that.
I'll second.
And a second by Chad. Roll call vote, please.
Howard Haggard,
Yes.
Diane Jordan,
Yes.
Todd McDaniel.
Yes.
Chad Sargent,
Yes.
Brenda Walters.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries.
That'll be so helpful for all of our people to be able to see that. Okay. Item number 18, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve the Garber invoice number 230240-1, 2, and 3 for 100% completion of the wastewater system evaluation for $23,436. This goes back to a little bit of what we talked about in the earlier one. Once they reach the 100% completion, See, this one shows, like, if you go to that, this one shows that they've got one at 12%, they have one at 8% complete. They have one at 100%, which is the discovery phase, they have 8%, knowing what the existing system is. Do we have another agenda item? I think
Yeah,
we're
on
gonna talk about that
yeah,
some more.
one on the
Okay.
wastewater, one on the road.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so,
And-
this is what
and-
you'll start
and
to
if I
see.
can make any more comment on it, if you wanna
Yes, you
talk
can.
about both of them. Which one it is, there were three different phases of it, I don't know if it was the cabin roads or okay, the cabin roads was $26,000, was their initial cost. There was a ton of stuff, but they never billed us for it. They're asking, and they finally got 100% complete. And all I'm asking for, are these deliverables, are we satisfied with the product and ready to pay?
It's
That's
finished.
all we're asking.
The project's finished. Project is complete.
Okay, that's all I was concerned about.
And if
I'm not questioning the invoices, I'm just questioning, are we delivering?
Cole?
And I'll add just one clarification there. I don't know if it was a mistake on our end, but we were sending those invoices monthly for a time. There was a lag as we finished things up, but we may have used the wrong email. There was some snafu where the invoices were sitting for a while. So that's why you saw them all at one time here on this agenda.
The last two invoices, and I hope we got the billing, or billing address or mailing address corrected, go to the PO box now.
We've worked that all out with that
Fix
sir.
it. The last two invoices I found in the grass out here,
Oh, okay.
laying outside the mailbox.
I hadn't heard about that.
I can show you the dirty envelope,
Okay,
Anyway.
any more discussion on getting these invoices paid for services that have been,
On 18, we have the amount on the agenda at 23,436. Should that be 24,436?
Did I make a mistake?
24,436.
And that was,
Yes, glad, good one to catch. Yes, it should be for 24,436, not 20.
Is that a script error,
I think, so, yeah.
Mayor?
yes, Scrivener's error.
I make a motion to go ahead and, pay the invoice, Garber invoice for the road, for the wastewater evaluation, $24,436.
I will second
Hang
the
on.
motion.
Hang on, I'm looking for my, 6. Oh, I got it. 1, 2, 3. Where's our total?
It's on the first page.
First page.
Show me. Oh, no, on that. I'm there. Okay, we have a motion to approve item number 18, the Garber invoice 2302240-123. We had a motion by Howard. Do we have a second?
Brenda.
Brenda, sorry, I was busy reading over there. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Howard Haggard.
Yes.
Diane Jordan.
Yes.
Todd McDaniel.
Yeah.
Chad Sargent.
Yes.
Brenda Walters.
Yes.
Okay, that carries.
Okay. Item number 19, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve the Garber invoice number 2302249-123 for 100% completion of the Hochatown cabin roads evaluation for $26,000. Any more discussion on that? Okay, do we have a motion to approve that invoice for payment?
I'll make a motion to approve the invoice.
Okay, Todd makes a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Chad, may we have a roll call vote?
Howard Haggard.
Yes.
Diane Jordan.
Yes.
Todd McDaniel.
Yes.
Chad Sargent.
Yes.
Brenda Walters.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item number 20, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve entering into a 1-year service contract with CMA Strategies, Inc. for the purpose of providing government relations services for the town of Hochatown for an annual cost of $36,000 for services provided from the effective date of the agreement through June 30th of 2025. This is what we had discussions on last month. Liz has worked with CMA on the agreement that she felt she was comfortable with, that's included under the tab for CMA Strategies, and that lists their services that they'll be providing to us. You know, this is only a one-year contract, because that's all that we're authorized to do. Do we have any discussion? Todd?
Does everyone understand what CMA does?
That was, we can get the guy we met in June.
Yes, that's the guy we met. Like I said, we've been talking about this for 3 months now, so,
Pat.
he's ready to help us if we're willing to work with him. Any more discussion on that?
I make a motion to approve entering into the service contract with CMA Strategies.
Okay, we have a motion by Brenda, do we have a second?
I'll say.
We have a second by Todd, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Howard Haggard,
No.
Diane Jordan,
Yes.
Todd McDaniel,
Yes.
Chad Sargent,
Yes.
Brenda Walters.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. And, Mayor, I just need, on that, please.
Yep, just design it, okay.
And when, this computer.
And then, yeah, I'll just. Okay, alright, we're fixed. Okay. Okay, item number 21, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve entering into an agreement with Blue Cross and Blue Shield for the provision of medical, dental, and vision benefit package for town employees. We also have a tab for that.
You have a tab on the back of your agenda packet here. Highlighted should be option number 4. This is the option that was recommended through a series of meetings from Melinda Grantham, who is the.
With yourself?
Huh?
Meetings with who?
I was explaining that was with Melinda Grantham with the Oklahoma Municipal League.
Oh, okay.
Who is their benefits specialist, and she arranges benefits packages for most of the municipalities that are members of the Oklahoma Municipal League. So through a series of meetings with her, she's put these together for us to review, and she has made a recommendation on option number 4. Option number 4 consists of town's payment of $1,011.85 per employee, which comes out to $12,142.20 per employee per year. As it currently stands, none of your employees have health insurance benefits.
I think that's with both employees.
That's
It's not
per,
per employee.
it says, per plan.
Yes. No, you said per employee.
Oh, sorry.
So, from what
And-
I understand, this would be with the town paying 100% of the policy on medical insurance.
That's correct.
And then the employees have the
Option.
choice of purchasing
Yes.
dental care and vision
And vision.
care
So
within,
dental and vision
within
is-
the group plan.
Dental and vision is not included with the medical package, the standardized health insurance, and it is an option for the employee to sign up for, but it will be the employee's responsibility to pay into that plan that they haven't selected.
And then the employees themselves, if they have dependents, they would be paying 100% of
They would have to pay extra for anyone else that would be added to their plan. Also, because we are less than 10 employees, we also do not provide life insurance as part of this policy. So once we have more than 10 employees, we'll be able to qualify for that.
I can tell you that, I mean, I'm looking, I don't know why the options were in the order that they were. I'm not a fan of these PPO plans. I think that's an unfair hurdle for the employees. So I only like 4, 5, and 6 to even consider. I just wanna take a minute to look at them and see.
That includes dental too, don't it, Adam?
These do not. They're
It's an
options,
option.
and the
Yeah.
employee will have to,
Option too.
the employee,
Within the plan, we would be paying 100% of the medical, and then if they choose, the dental and vision is within the plan, they would
Yeah, I see
choose
it.
whether they want.
Okay. clear.
Is that, I think it's, anybody else, college, insurance?
So we're adopting a plan that then will provide for every future employee 100% medical insurance.
Well, and I believe that once you, and this may be a question that we wanna ask, is, I believe you can, these are typically reviewed annually. So if
Yes.
we, you know, if we start getting 50 employees, we may wanna relook at what
Yes,
our options
every
are.
year we
That every
revisit
year you
the
review.
benefits
Yeah, I just wanted to
packages.
make a comment so everyone understood that this is a benefits plan we're purchasing, or not
We're-
purchasing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Enrolling in as an organization, as a community.
yes.
So Melinda has said that most of her cities and towns are transitioning from existing plans to the option 4 that is highlighted in your packet.
Any more discussion on benefits? Or you can't keep employees if we don't give them benefits. I think that's one of the biggest things that we can offer as an employer. I'm excited about
No, I
that.
think it's a good point.
Yeah, okay. Do we have a motion to accept the recommended plan for Blue Cross and Blue Shield medical, dental, and vision benefit packages for town employees?
I'll make a motion to
That would
accept
be option 4.
Yeah, we can do
That's
some,
option 4.
okay, option 4,
Okay.
yeah, as presented.
Okay.
Okay.
I make that motion.
Okay, Brenda makes a motion, do we have a second? I'll second then. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Howard Haggard,
Yes.
Diane Jordan,
Yes.
Todd McDaniel,
Yes.
Chad Sargent,
Yes.
Brenda Walters.
Yes.
Okay, that carries.
When does this take effect,
So I'm
Adam?
just gonna
Since you guys have voted on it today, we spoke with Melinda and she said we could have it go into effect as early as August 15th.
Okay,
Can you get her to get with me and Charles, so we can figure out if we can do auto pay?
Absolutely.
mhm,
Yes, sir.
Make it simple?
Yep.
Yes, okay, thank you.
okay, alright. Okay, item number 22, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve resolution number 2024-8, a resolution of the town of Hochatown casting a vote for trustee of the Oklahoma Municipal Retirement Fund to fill the expiring term of the at-large trustee representing the entire membership. That was addressed to me, where is it?
It's a tab.
I'm not seeing a tab, am I missing it? Oh, there it is, down here, it's the one at the very bottom. Okay, this is the ballot of an organization that works with the municipalities, and the trustees will need to take a vote on the candidates that we were provided. I went through these, you can see in the email, I think it's page 3, and well, page 4 of the tab, we were presented with 7 candidates. We do need to take action on this if we want to have a voice in the voting, because it is due by August the 30th, if we want our vote to be counted. Do any trustees have any questions? About the official ballot?
So this was sent to you, have you had your chance to look at it?
Yes, I looked at all of the candidates. I was particularly happy with candidate number 2. They represent a small, newly incorporated town, in a tourist area, very similar to us. Yep, sure is. You know, we've worked with, Carlton Landing for the last 3 years, even before we incorporated. I think he would be a good voice to represent the interests of a town like ours.
I mean, looking at all of just their accolades and what they've accomplished.
They're all accomplished, they're all qualified.
Yeah,
I was just
yeah.
looking for the one that best represented our town, but I did say, I think they were all very qualified. But it is an important board that has very specific, they've got work to do.
A few phone calls I had, Cindy Shivers and Robert Johnson came in as good candidates too, and I think Buckley's great, so really if no one at the table knows these individuals personally, then, it's a crapshoot on who you think, but these individuals are just gonna be representing this organization and retirement fund, correct? They're gonna be on
Yes.
board, and so,
Mhm.
yeah. Diane likes Buckley, he's a great choice too, Johnson, but all of them are, they've got.
That's what I said, I think they're all
Very
qualified, it wasn't a matter of who was more qualified, it would be nice to give a brand new town a seat on the board, because we certainly know what it's like to not have seats on the board.
Oh, I understood he'd already served on this. Was he not?
No, he would be a new
A
appointment.
new one?
Anybody else have any discussion, you wanna continue to look at these some more?
I would make a motion to approve the resolution, casting our vote for Greg Buckley.
Greg Buckley. Over here. Okay, we have a motion to vote for Greg Buckley for the board via resolution number 2024-08. Do we have a second?
I'll say it.
Any motion by Brenda, we have a second by Todd. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Howard Haggard,
Yes.
Diane Jordan,
Yes.
Todd McDaniel,
Yes.
Chad Sargent,
Yes.
Brenda Walters,
Yes.
David Harries.
We've done our civic duty. Item number 23, discussion only of ordinance number 10, short-term rentals. Adam, do you want to speak to that? I know we've been visiting
Yeah.
Liz on this.
So the main reason why this is on the agenda today is because the question that's came up is, in order for you to get your STR license, do you have to be current on all of your back taxes that are owed back to May of 2023? And in the ordinance, as we have reviewed it, you do not have to be current in order to obtain the license. Now, all of those taxes are still 100% owed and due to the town of Hochatown. However, you do not have to be current in order to obtain your STR license, which I believe that answers the question that we brought up for this agenda item. So that's all we got. Does anyone have any questions about that? I think that pretty much simplifies the issue at hand.
So basically, we're saying you can have traffic tickets, but you get to keep your driver's license. You still have your license, even if you may be behind paying taxes. But we do need to issue the,
Most communities, from what I understand, to receive any type of license, you have to be up to date on all your taxes and such.
That may be the case, but that is not how this ordinance is
That's
written.
not how we write. So the
If you'd
question
like to
is,
make
do
an
we
amendment, we
rewrite
can-
the ordinance?
That's a discussion for you
So,
guys.
so the
Right.
ordinance itself doesn't require them to be current.
That's correct. In order to
So we don't
obtain the
have to do
license,
it. We don't
but the
have to
taxes
do
are
that.
still due.
but
Right.
taxes are still
But you
due.
can get your license, the taxes are still due.
Okay, so Avenues, they just.
We will correct that,
So that's correct.
because they've been sending communications saying that they need to be current.
Okay.
I would like to say that you have to be current.
Well, then we will need to amend the ordinance.
I don't
So-
think so. And I'll explain why.
Yeah, me too. Go ahead,
Just
Todd.
right now, we're trying to get all our fish in a basket. And once we get our fish in the basket, then we can find out, I think it would be easier to find out who owes taxes once we get everybody registered. I think if you make it where people can't get registered, here's the argument that we're getting, and I realize that these are all straw man arguments. They're not, there's no reason to not pay your back taxes, but a lot of it is, I didn't know I was in city limits, or I didn't even know this, blah, blah, there's a million excuses. And we're not getting everyone registered. A lot of people are going to register and then they're running into that, and they're like, well, I don't know, I don't even know what I owe, this sort of thing. I think if we let everyone register now, get them in, get a connection with them, and make sure they understand we're not forgiving your back taxes. Eventually we're gonna come after the back taxes. You're gonna have to pay those. But I think doing this now will allow us to build the network that we've gotta have to know how many STRs we have and who's actually in our city limits.
I think because this is so new, I mean, again, we've got people who have been operating cabins here for 20 years. And it is a learning process, as this is the first year that we've been trying to do this and get them registered. I think this is a great conversation for a year from now. Everybody's had plenty of time to be registered and understand that if you've not been paying your taxes, because we've only been collecting them since a year ago last April, you do need to get caught up. But I do like the idea of, let's just get them registered with a note that they are not current on their taxes and that they have to make arrangements to get current with their taxes.
And that makes perfect sense, and I agree with that.
Okay,
But I would like for us to look long-term.
absolutely.
And STR should get no more, it should be uniform. If you're looking for a business permit, a business license, you should be up to date on your sales tax, lodging tax, whatever it is, before you're issued that license.
And we may want
For
to,
all businesses.
we may wanna
Yeah.
look at amending this, sooner than a year from now. We may
Oh,
say
absolutely.
January first. I mean, whenever we feel like we've captured all the
There has to be
fish.
there has to be a threshold. OTC
Yes.
requires you to have a threshold. Every agency that you have to
Mhm.
pay.
In addition to that, there are
Requires.
people who have gotten paid their license. We did that step for all of our cabin owners.
Mhm.
And, but we've not received the actual,
Certificate that says they're licensed.
and so we're assuming that somewhere in these months of paying in these taxes, Avenue must have skipped somewhere a month. And so probably on maybe one of mine, they're like, well, I don't have record of you. But, some of you out there are those administrative things that are going on that should eventually line themselves out.
So I think that's why we just wanted to have a discussion that says, hey, just get your license, we're gonna keep sorting things out.
Okay.
You good?
But that's been made. That change has been made with Evan.
Not at this time.
Okay.
They need to be notified, but I wanted to have this discussion before
Okay.
I take that action.
But just so I heard you right, the resolution does not call for return.
That's correct.
Okay.
And the ordinance.
The
as it-
ordinance.
as
Which
it's
we
currently
have in
written.
our,
As
it's
it's
in your
currently
packet, just if you wanna
Yes,
review it.
and that is a review by myself and our attorney.
Okay.
Everybody good with that discussion?
Yep.
Alright, item number 24, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding response to the United States Postal Service.
So if I may on this one,
Which one, ordinance?
number 24, you just read,
Oh, yes.
USPS.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so Diane has received a, decline letter, a notice that,
Not necessarily.
well anyways, if you'd like to go ahead and start off with this,
Okay, let me go ahead and start
Okay.
then. Okay, so we received our letter 14 months after it was submitted to the US Postal Service asking for our zip code to be reinstated, the one that we had historically. We've asked that be reinstated. We gave them numerous reasons why we felt like that should be reinstated. And 14 months later, they did respond, which has been included in your packet. It was addressed to Mr. Dawkins. We have no idea who Mr. Dawkins is. But it did say, after a full investigation, and I question how fully they investigated this when they took 14 months to do it and they didn't get our name correct. Did they truly investigate our request? It's kind of a 2-page letter. But I'll direct your attention to the last paragraph on the first page. As a mitigation to the request, they will add Hochatown as a last line for city, which is a huge win for us, that everybody can say, what's your address? 101 Rock Oak Lane, Hochatown, Oklahoma, and the post office will be required to deliver the mail. As it stands, since we don't have last line ability, if someone, which they do, if somebody addresses the letter to Hochatown, any post office that gets that letter has the right to reject it and say not a valid address.
Yes.
And so we don't want that to happen. So as a mitigation, they did say they would do that, and as part of that, then they, I don't know what the fancy words are, but they, snap our shapefile of our town limits to those addresses so that when someone starts to type in 101 Rock Oak, it immediately populates Hochatown, Oklahoma. Whereas now, some of them are still putting in Broken Bow. So that is a mitigation that we did have. I have filed a draft response. This is due on Friday. Again, they only gave us 45 days to respond, but they took 14 months to thoroughly review our request. And so my response, you'll see, is 2 pages, and we have to send this by Friday. So they only gave us a few days
To
to,
the DC.
yeah, we have to send it to it's not a person, it's the manager of rural delivery in Washington DC. And so what I've asked is that this is our letter of appeal regarding the reinstatement. In summary, I told them what the history was in case they hadn't read the letter. that our issues are still unresolved for the historical and cultural reasons that we want it, for the economic reasons, for the fire safety reasons. But that we would like to accept, which you'll see is just under the chart on page 2. We will also ask you to immediately implement the official preferred last name Hochatown in the address management system that provides evidence to these underlying concerns to see if having Hochatown helps people understand that they are in Hochatown and not in Broken Bow. That's where we are. Adam has done some more work on this. Adam?
Yes, thank you, Diane. I wanted to kind of express a little bit of concerns about this sensitive nature here. I'm trying to work with some very influential legislators and powerful people in our state to put together a plan on how we can best combat this and how we can garnish some support in our appeal. So it sounds like we need to get this letter out as soon as possible. I'm needing to buy some time. It sounds like we don't have any time. But I am needing to buy some time in order to work with these individuals and to arrange my meetings with them and their schedules. We are working to put our best foot forward with this one.
The post office, we've all been working with as many entities as we can to get this done. There's more work to be done. Our response is not that we're accepting the fact that they have declined the reinstatement of the zip code. Our response is we are appealing their decision, and I feel like that will buy us the time that we're looking for, because we are appealing and we want to provide additional information to them with this appeal. But we have to respond that we are appealing, and that's what this letter does. And we can still, if you want, we can continue to work on this letter a little bit if we need to. But we do need to submit a response.
I just read the letter, and I think the one thing, and I don't know that it'll help, but something in here explaining to them how much tax revenue we're missing out on. Well, not just a lot,
Right, but what I said was this chart was an indicator of
right.
the economics that we're
Yes.
losing.
Yeah, that's good.
Hang on, I think I got that in here.
The fact that
Right here.
the VRBO and those won't even send us our municipal taxes because we don't have zip codes.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's not specifically said, that would be good to.
Well, what they're saying is with the last line, that would start being collected.
Okay, if it will.
But, I mean, that was, if you look at their letter,
Right,
addressed to Mr. Dawkins.
signed by a lady from up from the city representing the DC area.
If you, 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
as paragraph 4 on the first page, it says by adding that will provide the, basically it's that the infrastructure capacity building opportunities, which is our taxes. So we have until Friday to submit a appeal. I think we have to follow the process that we have been given, that we do need to file the appeal. And from that position, we continue to work our options, I'm completely open for discussion.
Well, what they've offered, as mitigation is, is a start. I don't know if that'll be the final conclusion to the matter, but it sounds like it. Who's this Diane England?
She works for the post office. She's the person who, received this request
Okay.
and answers. She's the one that put this document together, that my department has thoroughly investigated this and you don't need a zip code.
Is there any federal or state legislators that can help us that we
That's-
identify?
Well, if you look at the CC at the bottom of the letter, all of these people have been, just get included on this for the last 14 months. We've had lots of discussions, letters, there's been lots of discussion on this, but if you look at the CC list, those are all the people that have been involved so far. Because these are the people that are in our wheelhouse to ask for help. And now, again, what we're talking about with Adam is let's broaden that scope You know, we have owners from 40 different states. I bet they all know their US senators.
Good thought.
So, I mean, like I said, I think we can go to the next step, but we get the letter, we only had 45 days to even respond.
Yeah.
And so I say we appeal and work on our list of,
I'm putting together a team.
Do we have a process? Do we know the process of the appeal?
no, they just said, all we can do is submit a letter of appeal,
That's
which I'm
fine.
like, we will definitely be submitting a letter of appeal because we
Yeah,
don't
we've got
agree
to-
with your decision
Right.
to Mr.
They're gonna
Dawkins.
fight for us.
You may file an appeal no later than 45 days.
Right.
So I'm just wondering if they have a specific process.
But they did not tell us what that might be.
Right.
So Diane,
And I
what would
think we
that-
can follow this
Diane,
up next week with another letter.
What would that last line,
It would just change the word Broken Bow to Hochatown. What's your address? 101 Abendigo Lane, Hochatown, Oklahoma, 74728.
okay,
That's still not really gonna change a whole bunch in the grand scheme of things.
Well,
If
they
you-
said that, they
As
said
soon
that
as you
it
type
would,
in that zip code into a
Right.
mailing address, it's still gonna come up as broken bow unless you enter into your.
well, they're saying that their
your
system,
BBA
it will
code.
automatically change it.
yes,
Because I've
There's
been
a-
using Hochatown
Mhm.
and.
It
no,
reverts.
gets rejected, no, it gets rejected.
Yeah, but what they're saying is this would immediately become effective in their system. And I'm
if, yeah,
like,
if
well,
a customer goes, you know, utilizes it in a proposed area, that will automatically show Hochatown. Just, you know, it's.
And the proposed area would be our municipal limits.
Yeah,
They put that shape file in there or whatever, so, they may get more than one letter of appeal from us, but we have to at least meet the threshold of, we submitted the appeal when we said we would.
yeah,
More to come.
yeah.
So what is the action, just the?
So
do
here's,
we-
here's the action that I would like for the board to approve sending a response to the US Postal Service. And I would like to ask you to accept, my judgment that we may wanna work this letter just a little bit tomorrow. Without significant, like, you know, one of them at the bottom of page 1, you know, I talked about the number of acres of US forest and Weyerhaeuser timberlands that were subject to forest fire, and without an address, we don't have evacuation plans for people to know whether they are in Broken Bow or Hochatown. If we're putting, you know, a municipality can do a burn ban, right now, we're subject to the county burn ban. People don't know if they're in Hochatown or Broken Bow. So I kinda just wanted to put that data in there, of exactly how many acres we had, but I haven't heard back from Don Cook or Weyerhaeuser yet on that. I can get Weyerhaeuser's from county. But the letter that I'm proposing to send is essentially what you're seeing here with maybe some minor edits. But I'd like you to go ahead and prove it, otherwise we gotta have another special meeting if you want me to send a letter.
I say we, take action and allow the letter, approve the letter to be
Okay.
sent, I guess we gotta
So,
get it in
so,
soon.
yeah, so Diane framed it as to approve sending a response to United States Postal Service to accept the mayor's judgment on the letter without significant changes. That's how she just proposed it. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think as long as we get a letter in the appeal.
That's what I'm saying, I
and
think
meet
the most important
criteria
part is to get
standard,
the letter in.
And then we can address all the other.
We can continue working.
I mean, just thinking, any government, division is gonna have some process of appeal on their decision. And I wanna make sure that we're following the process. Have you been able to talk to Liz about it?
Oh,
Do
yes,
they
Liz has
have
been
some-
very involved in this.
Right.
And, I mean, if you go back and look at their letter,
I mean, because there might be some process where you have to file a notice of appeal, you have to serve it certified mail to certain persons, or even serve
no,
summons.
all it says is you may file an appeal no later than 45 days.
Right,
And,
but file an appeal, which suggests to me you gotta figure out how to
right.
apply or file that appeal. Use their processes. I just want to make sure that it doesn't require anything more than a letter.
I mean, I can certainly call Diane and ask her,
Yeah.
you know, but, I believe the request was for a letter of appeal. We submitted a letter of request.
Right.
I think the letter of appeal is what they're looking for, but I'm happy to
Yeah.
ask very specifically, you know, what their process is for that.
I will second Todd's motion.
Okay, so Todd made a motion that we send a letter of appeal as drafted with some minor edits if needed. Okay, so we have a second by Brenda, and we have are you ready, Helen? Okay, do we have a roll call vote, please?
Howard Haggard,
Yes.
Diane Jordan,
Yes.
Todd McDaniel,
Yes.
Chad Sargent.
Yes.
Brenda Walters.
Yes.
Okay, that
Okay.
carries.
Let the post office get the letter from us. Okay, item number 25, any new business, any matter not known of which could not have been reasonably foreseen prior to the time of the posting of the agenda. Hearing none. Okay, item 29, discussion, consideration, possible action to adjourn.
26.
26, yes, I'm sorry, item 26.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, Brenda has a motion to adjourn, second,
Second.
by who, Todd?
Yeah.
Todd, roll call vote, please.
You guys can't leave yet, I have stuff for you to sign.
Roll call vote.
Yes, I was just making an
Okay.
announcement
Yes.
before they
Just
bolt
wanna
out
make
of
sure
here. Howard Haggard,
Yes.
Diane Jordan,
Yes.
Todd McDaniel,
Yes.
Chad Sargent,
Yes.
Brenda Walters.
Yes.
Okay.
Motion carries and the meeting adjourns at 2:59.
Man, I feel like I'm teaching school when those notes start to slam.